Most people search for answers, more knowledge, more voices. But few ever consider this, that the real answers, the soul's answers, only arrive in silence. Welcome back to the channel. How is it possible that we can achieve a state of alignment and awakening through the path of silence? So the path of silence is really the path that leads to enlightenment. And we only need to look to the past, to all the sages, saints, yogis, swamis and masters who followed the path of silence in ancient times. So when we look at this path of silence, we can actually see what it is that we're missing, or how to do this so that we can go within and align and start to see and start to know. This is why the sages disappeared into caves, why the Maya had quiet temples, not to escape the world, but to return to the signal that the world drowned out. It makes me think of Ramana Maharshi, who at the age of 16 achieved a state of self-awareness and retreated into caves for many, many years at a time. And his message was silence was his teacher. Looking back to the past, we also have the Lakota holy man, Black Elk, who would often go on vision quests or spend a lot of time in his own in nature. And he said that silence and his dreams were his true teachers. And the list goes on, and we think of the Buddha, who sat under the Bodhi tree in silence for very long periods until he achieved enlightenment. Also the great immortal Babaji, who has been in the Himalayas for hundreds of years, guiding the swamis and saints through their techniques of stillness, breathing and chanting to attain that state of alignment and awakening that took them to their state of enlightenment. So we can't forget the ancient Greeks. When initiations were taking place all around the ancient world, they used to have an initiation where you would go into a state of silence for a 5-year period. And in that 5-year period, you would hopefully self-realize and know who you are. And then we think of Jesus, the great master, who often retreated into silence and insisted that his disciples do the same so that they could pray and meditate. And he would often spend very long periods on his own, meditating, communicating with his inner self and with his Father in the spirit world. We know all the ancient sages and saints would retreat to a place of peace, a place of silence, because it's really the only way that you can get to know yourself and then enter other realities and worlds. And why is following this path of silence so important to alignment and awakening? Well, it's really not just a spiritual path, it's a spiritual reset. If you can imagine that there is all this chaos around you, and you start eliminating the noises and that chaos one at a time, what are you left with? You're left with the original signal, your frequency, your vibration. And with all those other sounds and noises gone, you're going to hear this. And so it is when you start to tune deeper and deeper within and follow this path on a regular basis. Not only hearing your own inner voice, your own intuition, but hearing spirit and hearing the higher worlds of truth as it flows through your consciousness. So in your clairvoyance and your clairaudience, the seeing and hearing, and then of course in your dreams. So you can't discover this inner world if you don't tread this path. So when you start entering this path of silence, even if it's for 20 minutes a day, there's a whole process of change that starts to take place around you. So you can imagine if everything is frequency, so your aura, your emotions, your mental body. So the frequency that they are vibrating at starts to shift and change. And as you start to shift and move these vibrations, this chaos, these noises, you start to hear that inner silence. And what is the sound of that silence? Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the absence of distortion. The mind becomes still, the mind starts to sharpen, and it starts to affect the nervous system. So we have two nervous systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So suddenly these subtle energies, these frequencies start to affect this nervous system and affect the brain and of course the pineal gland, the third eye. So the third eye in these vibrations, in these higher frequencies, starts to become activated, When tuning in on a regular basis, you'll begin to feel frequency rather than chase your thoughts. And it's really this chasing the thought process that blocks one from entering this path of silence. So we need to open that gate so that you can enter and find that path for yourself into that absolute stillness. Start experimenting every day where you find a quiet space for even 20 minutes a day where you can sit in that absolute stillness. And remember, I'm going to bring some of the other steps which are really, really simple that can lead you to this stage of alignment and awakening if you follow these steps, and you don't need to do them all. But silence is a path that you need to enter to be able to discover the inner self. And here's the secret. Silence isn't far, it's been inside you all along, whispering. You only need to remember how to listen. If you want to watch the other videos, these steps of alignment and awakening, hit that like and subscribe button. That really does help the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.